Welcome to M.I.N.D, the R122 Movement podcast, where curiosity meets spirit and thoughts become creation. I'm on a journey, one that began with a simple, soul-deep question. What's really going on in my mind? And how am I co-creating this life with Source? Welcome to M.I.N.D, the R122 Movement. I'm so glad you decided to join me today. Welcome. Welcome back. I know it's been a minute. This is Revelation 5. The river already knows. The first 4 revelations answered what God has been doing. Revelation 1, God was pruning me, or is still pruning me, if I'm to be honest. It said, pay attention to what God is doing around you. Revelation 2, God was whispering and saying, pay attention to what God is whispering within you. Revelation 3, God was showing me the divine pattern of the king and the priest, a call to pay attention to how I embody the whisper. Revelation 4 was simply the synergy of the teaching, calling me to pay attention to the difference between striving and synergy. Welcome to Revelation 5. The discovery that we never are chasing or our purpose or God by ourselves. God has been drawing us all along, calling us to pay attention to the flow of divine guidance already at work. I have to tell you, I think we've arrived at the emotional climax of this series, which I entitled Pruning the King Priest Synergy and Birthdays. Over the last several revelations, as I've explained, we've journeyed together through pruning, whispers, surrender, and the beautiful partnership between the king and the priest. Today, I'd like to tell you about a river. No, not a river you can find on a map. A river that's been quietly teaching me how to live. Have you ever stood beside a river long enough to simply watch it? It doesn't hurry. It doesn't hesitate. It doesn't stop few feet wondering if it's going the right way. It simply flows. For years, I believed life worked differently. I believed success belonged to the strongest, the fastest, the hardest workers, the most intelligent, the person with the best strategy, the best 5-year plan, the most carefully colored-coded calendar. Now, don't misunderstand me. I still love a good planner. God and I both know my color-coded calendar has saved me more than once. But somewhere along the way, I confused planning with peace. I thought if I could organize life well enough, I could eliminate uncertainty. Then life smiled and lovingly reminded me that it had other plans. There have been moments in my life when everything I thought was certain suddenly changed. Doors closed. Dreams shifted. Relationships ended. Plans unraveled. At first, I interpreted every interruption as resistance. Now I wonder, what if they were invitations? One morning during prayer, a simple image came into my mind. A river flowing around a massive rock. The river didn't complain. It didn't stop. It didn't demand that the rock move. It simply found another way. Then the whisper came. Water never forces its way through stone. It simply finds an opening. And in time, even the stone gives way. I sat with those words for a long time because I realized I had spent much of my life behaving like the stone, rigid, demanding, certain that life should unfold according to my expectations. I wasn't flowing. I was resisting. Maybe you've experienced that too. Sometimes we grip so tightly to one outcome that we completely miss the beautiful path quietly opening beside it. Fear has a way of narrowing our vision. It convinces us that there is only one door, one opportunity, one relationship, one answer, one timeline. But trust widens our awareness. Trust reminds us that infinite intelligence has never been limited by my imagination. In fact, Jeremiah 33 says, "Call on me and I will answer you, and I will show you great and mighty things, things you are yet still to imagine." That's one of the greatest lessons this season has taught me. The universe, source, God, has never been withholding anything from me. I wasn't being delayed, or I am not being delayed. I was being prepared, or let me say, I am being prepared. Preparation often feels uncomfortable because it asks us to release our attachment to how we thought life should unfold. And if I'm honest, I've had to release quite a few expectations. Not because they were bad, but because God has something better. At least I believe it. I've discovered something fascinating about fear. Fear always wants certainty before it will move. Trust moves and discovers certainty along the way. That's the river. The river doesn't know every turn before it begins flowing. It simply trusts the pull toward the ocean. The river already knows because one who created the river already knows. Isn't that beautiful? Sometimes we spend so much energy trying to figure out the destination that we forget to enjoy the journey. Man, if I think about the number of times I've traveled to places, yet the minute I return, I forget what was in that place because I'm always striving for the next and not just pausing to enjoy the journey. The irony is, the river reaches the ocean without anxiety, not because the journey is easy, but because it remains faithful to its nature. I think that's what Jesus demonstrated every day. There was urgency without hurry, purpose without panic, power without pressure. He never seemed rushed, yet he fulfilled everything the Father had given him to do. I've often asked myself, what did Jesus know that allowed him to live that way? Perhaps he knew what I'm slowly beginning to understand. Life isn't a tug of war. It's a dance. And dancing requires trust. You cannot dance beautifully while clenching your fists. You cannot dance while trying to control every movement your partner makes. You must learn to listen, to respond, to flow. I love dancing. I absolutely love dancing. whether it's kizomba, rumba, bachata, salsa, bascoro, you name it. The dance only becomes beautiful when both partners trust each other. The moment one partner tries to dominate, the dance loses its rhythm. Isn't life the same? Perhaps God has never asked us to lead the dance. Perhaps He's simply inviting us to follow. That thought changed everything for me, because following isn't weakness, it's relationship, it's trust. It's saying, Lord, I don't need to know every step. I only need to stay close enough to hear your rhythm. The more I practice this, the more I notice something remarkable. Opportunities seem to arrive naturally. Conversations unfold effortlessly. The right people appear at just the right time. Not because I'm chasing them, because I'm no longer running past them. Presence has become more valuable than pressure. Peace has become more productive than panic. And trust has become more powerful than control. That, my friends, is divine synergy. It is discovering that life is already moving toward the very thing God has prepared. My only responsibility is to remain present enough to recognize it. Now, here's a mind check for you as you continue along your week. Where are you trying to force your way through a stone when God may be inviting you to flow around it? Where has fear convinced you there's only one path when trust is quietly revealing another? Sit with those questions this week. Let the river answer them. Remember, practice synergy. This week, whenever something doesn't go according to your plan, before reacting, take a breath. Pause. Smile. And take another slow breath. Then ask, what opening might I be missing because I'm staring at the obstacle? Allow yourself to become curious instead of frustrated. Notice how quickly your energy shifts. The river doesn't resist the journey. It trusts the one who designed the path. Let's take a little glimpse at Revelation 6, which will be the final revelation. It is the thread that has quietly woven itself through every story, every whisper, every season of pruning, every invitation to surrender. It's a sentence that has become an anchor for my life and for my soul. A sentence I now return to whenever fear begins whispering louder than my faith. Next time, we'll explore what has become one of the deepest truths of my life. What I seek is seeking me, and perhaps it has been all along. May your heart become as gentle as the river. May your mind release the exhausting need to know every bend in the journey. May your inner priest continue listening for God's whispers. May your inner king courageously follow wherever those whispers lead. May you discover that trust is not the absence of uncertainty. It is the presence of divine companionship. May your life flow with grace, move with purpose, and rest in the quiet confidence that the one who began this beautiful journey with you already knows the way. Peace, courage, joy, and flow in divine synergy. And never forget, what you seek is already seeking you. Until next time, remember, water never finds its way through stone. It simply finds an opening, and in time, even the stone gives way. Well, that's a wrap for this episode of Mind, the R122 movement. Thank you for listening, and thank you for sharing this moment with me. If this episode moved you, share it, leave a review, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Join the conversation here or on Instagram. And remember, let's think differently, live fully, and expand boldly. Let's live out loud. Talk soon.